We're going to talk a little bit about resources, tools for investing, but we can go broader than that and answer some questions too, because some of you may be moving down or doing business here and have never done it before. So whether it's specific investing, maybe we'll get into other things too. We'll try to be open to that. So just to finish, I guess, intro, yes, I work with Invest Puerto Rico. I head up innovation, investment, entrepreneurship type activities. One of those is the Impeller investment platform. I work on making connections with the local and the global entrepreneurial ecosystem. So making sure that we have a nice landing pad for people coming down to plug into from an entrepreneurial innovation side of things, as well as making connections to other global innovation hubs and places as our companies here in Puerto Rico expand and need to go other places as well. And tech entrepreneur by nature, into blockchain, very deep, a bunch of other things like that. So I can nerd out some other day if anyone wants to. So yeah, just kind of working in that ecosystem in general is kind of where I spend most of my time. So we'll run through. We got a good panel here. Most of you have met the panelists, but we'll go through briefly for anyone who doesn't know, and for the videos that millions of people will watch, and then we'll dive into things. So let's start with Cory and work our way this way.
My name is Cory Hansen, and I work for Kimberly next to me, and I carry the luggage. And I came to Puerto Rico a little over a year and 3 months ago.
I'm Kimberly. I came here to retire at 29, and I got drug out to work. It's been the best gift to be here on this island, and it would not be possible without interest from every single person in this room. You guys bring so much to this island. I would not be here if it wasn't for all you guys. I'm Puerto Rican. My parents are so disappointed I'm here. And my dad just recently sent me the Game Changer commercial. So whoever put that together at Invest Puerto Rico, thank you very much. My parents get it now. So yeah, thank you. And I'm in this group because of this wonderful woman right here next to me.
Aww. Thank you, Kimberly. My name. Just one time. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, learning how to use a microphone. Many of you know me. My name is Kathryn Morea. I came here November of last year, so just over a year ago, with my son. He was here earlier. He left. He had to go do something, but we started REIA Rico, which is the Real Estate Investor Association of Puerto Rico, almost a year ago. We started it in February, so we saw a need in our minds for a real estate club, an organization where people who are in the industry of real estate investing or agents or any of the related industries could get together and collaborate, and supply chain, vendors, all of the above. And so, yeah, I actually came to the island semi-thinking I was going to retire too. And as many of the people before me today have said, you see this need and you see this opportunity and you just can't ignore it, and you can't just go drink mojitos when, there's so much to be done. There's work to be done and property to be rehabbed. And so, yeah, now I'm in it.
Yep. That's a common theme you'll see. This is not like data-based, but in my own perceptions, I'd probably say 20% of people who move down and think they're going to relax and whatever actually do, and they love it, and it's great, and it's wonderful. But then the other 80% end up doing more than they anticipated, which isn't necessarily bad. It's normally good. But so that's to say Puerto Rico is good for everyone, whether you are winding down or just ramping up. So as many of you know, and a lot of you went through the bus tour, some of you live here already, so you're well aware. I like to paint Puerto Rico, in my mind, it's like a 21st century frontier in many ways. Not that it's nothing and it's tumbleweed out in the west of the United States or something like that, but in the sense of there's opportunity, there's a lot of, I guess, fertile land, so to speak, or opportunity for, it could be energy, it could be technology, it could just be anything, quite frankly, for innovation just in general, and for people to make something happen. And that's one of the things, and probably why most of you are down here, especially who have come from off island, is you see that in one way, shape, or form. Now, what's important moving to any new place, particularly an island that maybe you're not from, I mean, some are coming back but a lot of us don't have family or resources here already, is you need to plug into something. And I came here 4 years ago, and there was much less than there is now. We're still, in this case, I'd say an emerging market in the sense of we have a lot of pieces, but they're small and they're not maybe necessarily as developed as if you move to New York or you move into Austin, Texas, or something like that to plug into in different avenues. However, there are some really good resources and some of the best people, period, that you'll ever find. So we're going to dive into that a little bit right now. But let's start out with just kind of with stories and experiences a little bit, just to kind of paint the picture. Cory, you came down here. Well, tell about what you were wanting to do and accomplish and kind of what happened and how you've pivoted.
Usually I have to spend the first 10 minutes explaining that I'm not really Puerto Rican. That joke never gets old, right? Okay, thank you. I grew up in Utah. I've lived on an island before in the UK and loved it. Thought that maybe I'd get a chance at island life again, and here I am in my 50s-ish, and get this chance to be here. I had talked to a friend of mine that I'd always see him in March or April, May, and he was very tan. I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I live in Puerto Rico for 6 months out of the year." "What do you do that?" And he explained it to me, and something popped in my head, and that I was going to Puerto Rico. And so I went home, explained to the family, and they're very kind, and maybe they just wanted me gone. But then we moved our businesses that we had, just small startups. We paused them, actually put them on hold for a few months, and then relocated everything, the activity of those businesses down here to Puerto Rico. And just one comment about when you're talking about the Wild West, there's that feel to this. If you know it coming down here, it's intimidating when you have to go into even into Walmart, or you're buying groceries. It can be intimidating. But the thing that I found is that I want to say this carefully. If it's not illegal, immoral, or fattening, try it. Okay, just you have the chance to grow things down here in Puerto Rico. If you're an entrepreneur, then grow that. If you're into real estate, then really look to grow that. I think for me, and I've known. Let's see. I think we met online. How long has it been now? A year. Wow. And when I saw opportunity zones, I first thought that you just show up to an opportunity zone, right? And the opportunity's there, and that's not the case. I really think that you are the opportunity, and the opportunity zone's the play field, and you get to jump in and participate and grow. So take it with that kind of an attitude. If you come down here waiting for, things to happen or to be dropped in your lap, you'll certainly see more opportunity than you're accustomed to. I don't care where you live or where you come from. You're going to see more opportunity than what you're accustomed to. But you be the opportunity in the opportunity zone. I think this is the perfect place. There are opportunity zones in the world. Then there's Puerto Rico. How can you compare opportunity zones anywhere else with Puerto Rican opportunity zones? It's just a reality in the way that they're stacked. And so when I looked at all of those things together, the lifestyle, we have snow in Utah, right? We have snow and airplanes that will take us away from that snow. And you've got the climate, the people, there are a lot of things here, but it really is a chance to grow what you want to grow and be what you want to be.
Let's jump into, all of you have relocated here. What were some resources or tools that helped you? And let's start with that. What are some resources and tools that helped you in coming down across the board, whether it was investment or anything else that helped made the move happen?
One of the tools that I used, I watched YouTube videos every day for 3 months about anything Puerto Rico, just to try to learn all of the obstacles that people were talking about, the culture, the neighborhoods, like everything I could find out, especially if it was like not tourism so much. Like if it had a tourism flair, I pretty much tried to ignore that and just be like, I moved to Puerto Rico. Yeah, I want to watch that one. And the other thing was Facebook. I found a lot of, so the Act 2022 tax incentive Facebook group. I think it's what it's called. And then there's another one, Act 2022 Club.
There's like 6 or 7, but
Okay. Those were the two that I think I got onto right away. And so that was another resource for me to just go through those sites and just do search words on like banking, just try to figure out, everybody hated all the banks and trying to figure out which one was the worst of the best of the worst or whatever, like just different things like that. So by the time I got here, I had a pretty good idea of some of the things I was going to be up against and things that might be frustrating to me.
Well, I'm Puerto Rican, but I mean, for me, it was a culture shock to come from like my little cushy life in Dallas and the South to here. I mean, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'm like, this should be easy, right? Nope. Went to go get my power plugged in and took me a day and a half. I finally gave in and I just hired someone and I'm like, look, you do it. So like little things like that where it was like growing pains for me, but I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like, how do people do this? Like, how do you come here with your wife and your kids who are used to all this stuff? And then you like, here we are. Like, you can't really do that, right? So like finding a way to like connect with, this particular individual investor that is actually really looking to make Puerto Rico home. And I'll add to that, I heard a really scary statistic once that Puerto Rican women have 1.4 children per capita. If you look it up, we have the 6th lowest birth rate in the world. We're not having kids. Do you guys know what it takes to sustain a population? It's 2.1 children per capita. And those are children that are being born here. Those are children that are not staying here. Now I'm a mom. I got, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. I'm looking at preschool. I'm looking at private school. I can't afford that. But you're telling me that I can take my degree, go to Texas, make $85,000 a year, and then my kids are going to have a good school. My kids are going to have friends that are also Puerto Rican. It's like, it's not even a joke. Like right now what we're doing, we're in the forefront of something amazing in Puerto Rico. And I'm dying to have people like me come back. I want all of us to be here. But that conversation needs to be had over and over and over and over again. And like, it's not just the incentives, right? It's the lifestyle. I moved back here for my lifestyle. My kids, I was losing them in the States. They're on these devices, all this stuff. Here, you're going to go surf. You're getting surfing lessons and you're getting sailing lessons and you're going to be outside, So it's coupling that with the culture. I was desperately seeking my culture again. Here I am, So I just want you guys to remember that number. It's very, very, very scary to know that and not hear anyone talking about it. If we really want change in Puerto Rico, there needs to be a billboard every mile. Don't let your kids leave here. It's I don't know how to say it, but like for a parent, I can only imagine you're working your butt off to get your kid this education, like my parents. I get them off the island to a great career, and then they want to come back here. It's like, wait, hold on, but why? So we need to really rethink of how we think about Puerto Rico. It's not so much bringing investors here. It's actually making this home for people. This is home now. And home, Puerto Rico is not going to look the same as it does now. In 5 years, 10 years, you're going to have kids that they're Puerto Ricans now. They're here. They're now, they can't even think about leaving. They don't know anywhere else. So for me, it was kind of, that's what brought me here. That's what I'm trying to fix. When I say I can connect you guys to anything, literally, call me about dry cleaning. I don't care. I will connect you to whatever is going to keep you here. So anyway, I hijacked that.
Fair enough. It'll segue into something when we finish
Yes.
with Cory, though, so that's fine. Cory, was there any resources or anything that you came across that helped you in coming down?
So I think one of the biggest surprises for me was that you come down, you're isolated a bit, you feel alone, and when you start networking and connecting with other individuals, there are some locals here that I've connected with, Emilio and Tamara and Jose, even though he gives me a hard time, that I love, but meeting with others who had made that transition down here as well. There's one event I'm going to give a shout out to Uncommon Entrepreneurs tonight. In Utah, we say Lote 23, but it's Lote 23. And tonight at 6 o'clock, and you'll begin to see you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs or other people that have come down that have had success in the States, and they're here, or other places, and they're here, and they want to have, see a lot of growth and good things happen. So networking, that has been just, I think that's really what's pulled a lot of this together. I see other people like Resh and others that I've connected with along the way down here, and, having this community has been incredibly, incredibly helpful.
So that's getting into resources and tools. I'll second that community networking, like the human aspect, and you'll actually hear Michael talk about Relationship Island a lot. And it's true, and that can be good or bad. In this case, I've found that to be very good in just plugging in. I mean, the fact that we're doing this, ZWorks has a great ecosystem in general. Uncommon Entrepreneurs, obviously I'm biased with that one, but that has a great ecosystem, and there's other groups that you can plug into that will really help. And that's the other thing too is Puerto Ricans in general, as you've heard, are super nice, wonderful, awesome, friendly people by and large, as well as the people who move down tend to be of a breed that most of them are collaborative, willing to help, willing to share, connect, find you dry cleaners. I know who I'm going to call now. But all of those things. But there's also other resources that I want to make sure we highlight. And feel free to jump in if you've had any other experiences. But like, also biased, but Invest Puerto Rico, for one, literally, we're an entire organization with the sole purpose of helping bring companies, businesses, investors to the island. So we don't charge for our services. We have teams. You've met some of us already. We have about 20 more, whether it's in research strategy or marketing or business development, to help with what you're looking for, especially when it comes down to the initial steps of getting plugged in, and maybe you do need some help connecting to industry groups or the Manufacturers Association, or maybe some group in the government, or maybe certain service providers, or whatever it may be. Or maybe you're trying to bring down a big operation and you're like, hey, there's no data on X, Y, and Z. And then our team can help find that data and help you make that informed decision of what's best for your business. So definitely lean on Invest Puerto Rico in anything you can. Anything that we don't specialize or isn't right in our purview, we'll push on, or not push on, but we'll connect to or navigate towards other groups in the ecosystem. And we'll hit on a couple. I mean, you guys are working on Puertal, which well, I guess you can tell a little bit more about in a second as well. Well, I guess anything else? Some of you have interacted. Cory, you want to say something?
Just one more point. As you come down here and you reestablish who your tribe is, if you have anything that's entrepreneurial, anything to do with real estate or growth, I don't care what it is, what sector it is, the fact that 98% of Puerto Rico's an opportunity zone, then I really think that this group here, I think, is a phenomenal resource asset for connecting. There are a number of people that I've met down here that I met online first. The first time I saw them without a square around their head because they weren't on video. A number of the people that I met down here, Felix, I think I'd met you first on there as well. But anyway, I think this is a great group for anything along those lines.
So actually, let's Invest Puerto Rico. Just want to make sure we get that out there. Definitely utilize us and what we're doing. Tell us a little bit more about Puertal, and because it's obviously a new venture that's being pushed out, and what people can look to Puertal for. What can they look to Puertal for?
So we love connecting good resources to other people. So like if you tell me, hey, I'm a real estate investor and I'm looking at this, and how can I get connected to other real estate investors? Well, let me tell you, I got Kathryn over here with REIA Rico, and she has a Real Investor Association group on the island. Let me connect you to her. So I love connecting people. It's something that I've done organically. I was a flight attendant for years before, so I love hosting and connecting. My favorite thing to do. And Cory will kind of add to this on some of the resources that we have. But, just off the bat, like I said, anything. Literally any resource. We really would like to be able to represent you and what you need on the island.
So Kimberly's the resource. That's connect with Kimberly. But we have resources on the legal side, real estate investment. If you're working through your Act 60 documentation, anything along those lines, we've got the resources. We've connected with those. We really do prefer to connect with people who I can't remember, might have been Jose was talking about having local connections down here, the value of that. And that's really what we've worked to do. And Kimberly will find her way in. And connect with anybody on any resource, and she means it. If you test her on dry cleaning, you will get 3 or 4 dry cleaners at between 3 and 4 a.m.
I'll pick it up for you.
Yeah, she will. She'll connect you. But so anything, what we're trying to do, it's such a wonderful place and opportunity that if we can help ease that friction of moving here, then that's exactly what we want to do. Whether it's real estate, or we've even got connection with cars, or medical resources, anything along those lines. Then that's what we offer.
And on that note, what you'll find, and it's been alluded to, is there's definitely more of a culture here, I think, in the sense of expediters and having people essentially do things for you to get them done that maybe you would do yourself stateside or somewhere else. So whether it's through a larger or an organization that's a little more organized, or just this guy or that someone referred you to who will go get your power turned on, or whatever it is, that is definitely something to look into, especially because time is also money, and many of us are busy, whether it's with work or a bunch of kids or whatever it is. So there are different resources in that regard. What I find is, because there's a lot of interest for those resources, sometimes they're hard to find, or if you have a really good person for something, you don't necessarily want to share it because then they might not be available for you. But so hopefully Puertal and other things continue to build up. But definitely most things are going to come back to the connections and relationships you make, whether it's unofficial or official. When it comes to tools, obviously I showed you Impeller, happy to show anyone in more depth later on, but that's an example of a tool on the investment side. Again, don't be shy with that. Anything you want to look for, whatever, reach out to me and we have projects on there. There's other tools that are being developed. So Michael mentioned this, but there's Red Atlas, which is recently pushed out, kind of more in a beta, a search for properties and things on the island. There's actually another one that is starting a beta at the end of the month that I'm excited to test out, called Orbital, which is also going to have comparison data all the way back to, I think, like 2008 on a lot of properties, mainly residential around the island. I know the person who's been building that out and just got an update yesterday on it. So there's some others that are coming out that are going to help, even if it's just finding a house and whatnot. So there's a lot coming through in that regard in regards to specific tools. I want to echo the groups. I came down 4 years ago. I filed my own Act 22 and other things like that. Although I did hire for our Act 20 because it was way too involved with things in cryptocurrencies. So did get a professional for sure on those. But I used these Facebook groups. There were some Reddit groups. There was different groups that people would just share. And you'll find that there's thousands and thousands of people sharing thousands and thousands of things. So definitely do your research on that regard, on whatever it is. And then the other thing too, and this continues with the same theme of everyone really being collaborative, like it doesn't matter what group it is, even if you plug into service providers, I mean, Kavein's a good example, even a lot of the lawyers, whatever, most will sit down and just talk to you. They're not like, oh, I just met you, I'm going to start charging. Like, they'll talk to you, they'll give a consultation, they'll go through, they'll connect you with something. Maybe you're going to a lawyer for this, but you ask them, hey, do you know accountants or do you know XYZ? And they'll normally, so definitely don't be afraid to ask. And most people in Puerto Rico just naturally are willing to help anyways, and maybe offer the help maybe more than you want it, but that's a good thing. So in that sense, don't be shy in that regard, just to ask. And you'll probably get an answer or 10 answers with whatever question that is you have. And then there's other resources as well, in the sense of we have co-working spaces all around the metro area, at least. We have accelerators and incubators. We have places where you can also connect with people in that regard. If you're working, I know a lot of you work in real estate, but if you are also foraying into businesses, startups, things like that, there's actually a lot of resources for small companies, startups, beyond just accelerators and incubators, all around the island, both in English and Spanish, that you can plug into. There's groups like Colmena 66. There's a PR Science Technology Research Trust, which actually is above Colmena. But anyways, there's a bunch of resources like that. We link to a bunch of those on investpr.org. And again, all of those fill these little pieces depending on the types of projects you're doing. And of course, like REIA Rico and others, they're more specialized into real estate or certain things like that. So I just want to make sure we had some of those highlighted. And then I did want to hit on, because you were talking about birth rates and stuff, and this was mentioned in the presentation earlier. So like Comprometidos is one of a couple groups that is helping on the talent side of things. Because it's one thing to have talent, and this is everywhere, not just Puerto Rico, but like maybe you have talent or you have supply and you have demand, but it's actually matching or connecting that matters. It doesn't matter if they're just both sitting there not interacting. So in this case, we do have good sources of talent and smart people. We also have some really good jobs and things like that. Invest PR, we put out our year-end report showing, I mean, we helped bring 5,000 jobs to the island. They're paying over double the average salary that's on the island currently. So like really, really, really good jobs are coming to the island, and those who come down are creating even more, but it's helping getting that and matching that. So like Comprometidos is one group that's helping with that. They have and if you're also looking to hire people, definitely you can connect with them. They have an initiative called El Comeback. It's elcomebackpr.com. It is targeting trying to get diaspora back, but anyone looking to work in Puerto Rico can go there, and they're matching up with all sorts of jobs, whether it's services industry, accounting, investment, technology, healthcare, biosciences, whatever, kind of across the board. Parallel 18, which is the largest accelerator on the island, also has a new talent app as well. So they're helping place and match talent mainly for their portfolio of companies, but others as well. Invest Puerto Rico also has a Talent Puerto Rico group on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, just go to Talent Puerto Rico and we'll pop up. And we're always posting, and other group members, anyone can be posting on the talent side of things as well. So that's another tool that you can plug into. Yep.
I also want to highlight, it's not just, I heard this recently from a colleague that's actually in this room. It's not just highlighting and incubating, innovative businesses, right? It's incubating like the plumbers and the electricians and like the people that make Puerto Rico work, make Puerto Rico move. Those are the people that I really want to attract and I really want to keep here, right? Because there's all sorts of innovative brains that are coming here, that are leaving, coming in and out, but there's such a need for that particular community to be supported, to be incubated, to have access to capital. And, I implore all you guys in here, if you have, if you're exploring different, things to get into, different, places to get into, just look right next door. I mean, these are things that really need money, really need support. It's not, the next Elon Musk. It's the next guy that's going to fix your toilet, Those are things that are also important. And I wanted to, make sure we highlight that as well.
Sure. No, I mean, that's great. One thing that is, it's a different type of investment, but that I'll bring up is mentorship, investing in people. There's a lot of opportunity for that. I mean, everywhere, but a lot of people have moved down who have been pretty successful in one way, shape, or form. But there's also a lot of young, hungry, smart, and naturally talented people who just need some guidance too, and who we can work with. And we've been working with some of my projects. We've been trying to match some of that on the mentorship side. So there's a lot of opportunity in that for just helping out where you land. So that might not be what you're coming down here for, but it's one of those opportunities that helps you plug in, and through those experiences, relationships, and even building up other people around you, it just the
like my
tide
mentor's
raises
right
all
here.
boats.
I mean,
or whatever.
I look at her and I'm like, Kathryn, tell me more. Like, I mean, just finding, latching on to groups, like Uncommon Entrepreneurs, you're going to meet some really amazing people there. Every time I go to REIA Rico, I mean, I leave, my phone's just like, how many people did I meet tonight? But, like latching on to people like me that need mentorship, and then latching on to people like Kathryn that are mentors.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. But one of the things I forgot to mention earlier, and I don't think it actually applied to me until I got down here, which the WhatsApp groups. So Puerto Rico seems to live on WhatsApp groups, and there's a WhatsApp group for everything. And the REIA Rico has probably 4 of them or so right now. But the 2 main ones, like, this is where we share our plumber. This is where we share our lender. This is where, people are posting like, hey, I need an expediter, like, who's got one? And so that's been a really huge and useful resource for myself, and hopefully for a number of people that are part of that WhatsApp group. and other WhatsApp groups that are helpful, like foodies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, so I'm glad you did. Whether you love or hate WhatsApp, I actually hate it, but it's like one of those necessary evils in my... Okay, I won't get into that, but it's owned by Facebook. Anyway, so many groups on there. There's other ones too, maybe on Telegram or Signal, but WhatsApp is definitely a place to be in that regard. So Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, all other groups, YouTube channels, as you've heard, those resources to do. And we're going to wrap things up. So let's start taking just a few questions. If you have any questions on investing in Puerto Rico or specific tools or something that you haven't been able to find, feel free to...
Can I just rattle off a few more?
Please.
Because the ones I used to get here, like Facebook and YouTube, weren't necessarily the ones I used once I got here. So for real estate specifically, people talk about running comps. Now maybe we're going to have Red Atlas soon. What is Red X, a porn one?
Asking the wrong person.
Good answer. So Land Glide is an app on my phone that I pay for, but it's helpful for finding property information. Also, Louis Abro and Tassamax are two other comp kind of sites that are paid sites, but that's one way to run comps. I also wanted to mention we had a sponsor a couple months ago called Lend Dreams 1D, and they actually do lending and provide capital for people who are doing projects on the island. And there's some strings attached to it, but they work like in conjunction with your SBA loan based on how many employees you bring in. So I know several people who are meeting with them to get loans. So Lend Dreams. And another YouTube channel I've got to mention is PR Consultants. So REIA Rico and PR Consultants both have YouTube channels. PR Consultants, which is Dave and Robbie, is much bigger than mine, but I did, for instance, a video about how to get your license, how to get your real estate license in Puerto Rico. So things, real estate related, you might want to look on YouTube specifically for those channels. If anyone doesn't know, Classificados is the way we find real estate for the most part. So if you've never been on Classificados for real estate or for a car or for a couch or whatever it is, that's a huge resource. And I think Dave mentioned yesterday on the bus tour, PRTX. PRTX is a way to sell your tax credits. So if you're in a project with Opportunity Zone stuff and you end up with tax credits, maybe check out and look for PRTX. I think that's all my notes. I just wanted to share all those resources with people.
Which is great. And maybe we'll compile some of these and you can send them out to the group if you want, Chris. Any others that, I'm sure there's more we forgot, but any other resources you want to...
Yes, my farmer's market, duh.
Duh.
So I have a farmer's market here in Paseo Caribe. We're growing. Really what I really want to continue to do is continue to give access to people and have transparency in where their food is coming from. If you guys know, 90% of our food is imported. That is no good. You talk about supply chain problems. What? Something happens to those boats, we're going to be out of food in probably like a week and a half. So again, finding opportunities, they're everywhere. We used to grow all the rice for the Caribbean. We don't even grow rice anymore. It comes from China. What? There's just so many things that just don't make sense, but we need to fix them and we need to work actively on them. My farmer's market is one of those projects that I just hold really tightly. It makes me no money. But it's just, it's the work that goes into it. It's the access that the farmers have to people actually buying their produce, not wasting, eliminating that. So I hope that resource suits one of you guys at some point.
And it's Sundays. There's a flyer on your desk. Just right outside this, go outside of Fogo de Chao, just on the plaza.
Okay, time for maybe one question, if any. If not, we can all just talk afterwards. Okay, cool. Oh, was there?
How many kids do you have? Are you breaking the 1.4 per capita?
I have 4 daughters.
Yay!
We had twins here on the island. And yeah, I have a kid in school and whatnot. So actually that is something I want to tell you. If you have kids and you're looking for schooling, public schools, not the greatest. The private schools you'll hear about are really expensive. They may be good, but they're really expensive. definitely look into, like, there are a lot of very small private schools that aren't crazy expensive, or there's a lot of homeschooling co-ops and some new different types of schooling methods and things are popping up, especially with COVID and just breaking out of your traditional 9 to 5 maybe. So I definitely look into some of these other options, and don't only listen to maybe the things that you hear on a WhatsApp group or something, because sometimes it does become an echo chamber just with those who have come down and they did it this way, but that's the only way they know. I love breaking out of that mold. I also like not living necessarily always where everyone congregates, but we found a really cool hole-in-the-wall private school that I really like. Small class sizes, whatever, kids learning Spanish. So anyways, come here, have your kids come here, have kids, and then
Have more kids. Throwing more kids. Yes. Make them
And
have
along
kids.
along those lines, don't be afraid to get an Airbnb. A half a dozen. I came down for about 6 months. I did Airbnb for about 6 months in different areas just to find out exactly what you like. Use Uber a lot. Uber's awesome, and dump Waze on your Apple Maps is really good. Google's okay, but Apple Maps is really good as well.
so we can continue on that, but our time's up. Thank you, everybody.